I'm Thorsten Reim from 2 Lindenhof Reim, a traditional arable farming operation located in Hesse in the Taunus region. We manage 280 hectares of grain and rapeseed. Mainly, we've been doing this whole thing in precision agriculture for over 10 years. I have a site-specific arable farming project called deep farming. Testing on farms, we compare to German standard of 3x 60 kilo, aiming to produce wheat with less. We are doing and testing site-specific nitrogen fertilization, how we can counteract the so-called Germany variant, in which we fertilize 3x 60 kilos, so 180 kilos total, in how can we still produce baking wheat with a reduced amount. That's the goal of the deep farming project. So I've been a customer of RAUCH Kunde for over 20 years and I have access 50.3 used, but in our project, it's difficult due to the randomization with the spreader precisely at the edge to separate it precisely. That's why we're now using the AERO with multi-rate. Then I also have the opportunity to apply different amounts in small grids, in 1.20 meter grids. It's going to be very, very exciting. We will then conduct small-scale evaluations, and that in the primary farms. Compare multi-rate means with the machine behind me that we have 24 outlets with their own dosage control. So I can apply 24 partial amounts. Of course, I can also switch partial widths, but I can control a different amount at each outlet. That's the big advantage of multi-rate, and of course I can certainly also use it for definitely sowing cover crops. Here we see the nitrogen dosing wave, which is suitable for normal nitrogen fertilization. What's new now is that you can block them with so-called clips, which you can see here, and thus only uses part of the wave. For example, to also use it for sowing and to be able to apply small amounts like slug pellets or cover crop seeds. We work a lot with application maps, but also with an active plant sensor. The advantage is that you can work on everything in a more localized way with the spreader, where I expect a big effect. When I create application maps in smaller grids or even do offline fertilization, that means I fly over the fields with a drone beforehand. I measure the biomass and create an application map myself. I can use a RAUCH spreader to spread in 1.2 meter grids if necessary, in 120 meter small grids if needed. We used AERO in the spring, if that were necessary. We had the opportunity to use the AERO in the spring. We spread a significant amount of stabilized urea, which is in fact known to be very susceptible to wind. You don't have these problems at all with the AERO alt anymore. We can create very localized maps, partial widths, or also apply partial amounts with the multi-rate. Additionally, we also have boundary spreading areas on the outside so that no fertilizer has to fall even on the grass path. And that could become increasingly interesting with the ever-tightening regulations. In my opinion, the future of fertilizer spreaders is definitely a shaft spreader because you can apply much more accurately with it. You can do boundary spreading. You can spread very sharply at the edges, and there's no more under-fertilization at the field edges, which is often the case with 2-disc spreaders. And you definitely stay compliant because you don't apply it to non-agricultural land, which is almost impossible with a 2-disc spreader.